search intent, your page will or could never rank. A third factor is user experience. There are three important aspects to user experience. The first one would be click-through rate, also known as CTR, which is the percentage of people that visit your site from a SERP entry. The second is bounce rate. Bounce rate is defined as to how many people bounce after a short time following the SERP entry to your website or landing page. And the third one would be page time. How long do they stick around on your website once they arrive? Obviously, the longer is better, which means your site gave them what they wanted. The fourth ranking factor is social signals. Social signals can provide you with direct and indirect value. Since the purpose of this course is for you to learn all things social media SEO, let's take a deeper dive into what this ranking factor really means. If you were to take Google's word, correlation doesn't mean causation, at least directly, but indirectly can be a whole different story. Social media may not be a direct ranking factor according to Google, but indirectly can amplify the ranking factors that Google does care about and consider. You see, social media has a big sharing component to its existence. So the logic goes as follows. The more people share your content on social media, the more likely it is for people to link back to that content. In terms of your social media SEO efforts, there's a clear and direct value that can be easily seen by simply doing a search of your name, aka personal brand, or your company name. To illustrate my point, I've taken a screenshot from the Google search engine results page when I search for my name, Gabe Villamizar, and the company that I work for, which is Lucidchart. As you can see on this slide, when I search for my name, immediately the first three results that show up are from social media channels, with LinkedIn first, Twitter second, and YouTube coming in third. So why is this the case, you may ask? You see, well-established social media networks such as LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, to name a few, have a high domain rank. Domain rank is a simple search engine ranking score developed by Moz that predicts how well a website will rank on search engine results pages. Even though I have a blog and other websites, Google has decided to trust and rank higher these social media sites that are associated to my name. It's crazy how powerful it can be if you combine specific keywords on social media channels and combine it with a little bit of SEO. On this slide, you can see what showed up when I did an incognito search on Google for the company that I work for called Lucidchart. Because Google trusts and considers specific social media sites to have high authority and trust, on the first page of a simple Lucidchart search result, the third rank was Lucidchart's Twitter account, and Lucidchart's YouTube account showed up as the fifth result. Even though Lucidchart has thousands of pages on the internet, social media channels can outrank other pages and ultimately drive traffic to your pages. At the end of the day, what this can mean for you is that if you build and establish your personal or company brand on these social platforms, you'll be more discoverable, rank higher on Google, and ultimately drive more traffic to your websites. Even though Google search engine is the most used worldwide, we simply can't forget about the second most popular and rapidly growing search engine called Bing. In 2018, Statista, a research firm, gathered and shared a few stats publicly about Bing's user engagement. If you're like me, some of these stats might quite surprise you. And the main reason of why I'm sharing these with you is so you can realize that Bing is alive, gaining momentum, and rapidly growing. Here are a few stats that caught my attention that you should carefully read and understand. The one that impressed me the most was that the number of monthly search volume of Bing worldwide is 12 billion. Like I said, these are just a few stats and there are more, so my hope is that we begin taking Bing seriously as a legitimate search engine for your SEO and social SEO marketing efforts. Unlike Google, one of the neat things that Bing has done is to outline and clearly define what it looks for and cares about in terms of its search engine ranking factors. Here's what Bing's Webmaster Guidelines website looks like. In this website, you can find a breakdown of the content, links, social, and much more of what Bing cares about and how they rank certain search engine results page on their search engine. Even though you can find the entire list of ranking factors that Bing cares about online, I've outlined Bing's top 8 ranking factors that I think you should carefully read up and learn more of. Let's take a deeper dive into 4 of these 8 ranking factors. When it comes to high quality content, Bing is always seeking and wants good quality content. By providing clear, deep, easy to find content on your website, Bing is more likely to index and show your content on their search engine results. In regard to links, links pointing to your site help Bing discover new pages on your site. Bing also sees links as a signal of website popularity. A site linking to your content is essentially telling Bing they trust your content. And as a result, Bing rewards links that have grown organically. Using keywords in a relevant manner is a good strategy in which Bing can highly reward you for. For example, using targeted and relevant keywords in your URL structure, body copy, anchor text, and content, to name a few, can play for your advantage and help you rank your website higher. As an example, here's the Lucidchart article that I recently wrote. As you can see in the URL, I have the keyword Lucidchart, which is a relevant keyword to add that hopefully is going to rank for when somebody searches for Lucidchart on the Bing search engine. I've also added it underneath the image, and I've also added it in the article title and throughout the entire article. When it comes to social as a ranking factor on Bing, they have explicitly said that social engagement matters. What this means is that if your content has a high number of shares, likes, and retweets, Bing notices. According to Bing, these positive signals can have an impact on how you rank organically in the long run. Here's an example of a tweet I did that currently has 13 likes, but the more engagement this tweet gets, the higher it has the probability to rank according to Bing. So if you had to categorize the value that social SEO can bring to you on Bing, similar to Google's, I'd put them in two categories. Those two would be direct and indirect value. In regards to direct value, this would be to claim and or establish both your business and personal social media accounts where your buyers and traffic could come from. And that's just the beginning. You have to get active and remain active by consistently engaging with followers and connections. In terms of indirect value, social engagement needs to be consistent and predictable so that Bing knows who you are and the type of content that matters to you and your audience. This also involves connecting with influencers via social media. And last but not least, adding social media sharing buttons or widgets to your blog posts so that whenever your traffic or viewers read your content, they are motivated and inclined to share it on social. To recap, here are the top 8 ranking factors we discussed. I truly hope you simply don't dismiss or forget about Bing when creating and executing your social SEO strategy. And good luck. Even though there are many social media platforms that provide you and your company with social SEO value, the value differs depending if you're B2B, business to business, versus business to consumer. The top 3 platforms that I recommend for B2B are Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Twitter is an American microblogging and social networking service on which users post and interact with messages known as tweets. Twitter users can consume and or create content restricted to 280 characters. As of late 2019, Twitter has 330 million active users with 145 million monetizable daily active users whom are tweeting around 500 million tweets daily from all over the world. So we can easily conclude that Twitter's not dead, but alive, growing, and lots of engagement happening on a daily and monthly basis. 63% of its users are between the ages of 35 and 65, and the gender ratio is made up of 34% female and 66% male. And believe it or not, 67% of all B2B businesses are using Twitter in some way, shape, or form. If you capitalize on the social media SEO value that Twitter can provide in the B2B space, your tweets will have the chance of ranking on the first page of Google's search engine results page whenever an individual searches for your company name or a specific set of keywords that are close to the words that you optimize your tweets for. It's fair to say that if you've watched a video on the internet, it was most likely a video that was uploaded and lives on YouTube. YouTube has 1.9 billion monthly active users and 1 billion hours are watched daily. If that's not enough, 79% of internet users have a YouTube account and 62% of businesses are using YouTube to create and share their videos. With so many different kinds of video content being produced and uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis, in 2019, 90% of its users discovered a new brand or product on YouTube. On November 13, 2016, Google bought YouTube, which means that Google crawls, looks, and ranks the relevant video content that is uploaded on the YouTube platform. As you can see in this search example, YouTube videos, when optimized correctly, can rank on the first page of Google for both the All tab and the Videos tab at the top of the search engine filters. Last but not least, the world's largest professional and social platform that you're most likely familiar with is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the social network that focuses on professional networking and career development. The platform has 303 million monthly active users with 660 million users worldwide. LinkedIn users use the platform to display resumes, search for jobs, and enhance professional reputation by posting updates and interacting with other people. Not only are individual users of the platform, but businesses and companies have a presence by creating a LinkedIn company page to display their company's info, product updates, and share news. In fact, LinkedIn has 30 million companies represented in its platform. Your personal LinkedIn profile, when optimized with the right words, images, videos, and other powerful features that the LinkedIn platform provides to its users, can become a huge asset in the B2B social media SEO game. If an individual searches for your name or a company name, your LinkedIn profile or company page has the ability to rank on the first page of the search engine results page, thus giving you more personal branding visibility, website traffic, and brand awareness. I highly recommend and encourage you to keep up to date with the changes that these platforms make on a monthly basis. You never know when a new feature is added and changes the entire game completely for good or worse, so do your best and stay in the know. Good luck and do it big. B2C is all about the consumer, which is your audience and buyer. The B2C audience tends to be more transactional and they always expect instant gratification on social media. With that in mind, let's review specific platforms to consider if you target the B2C audience. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are phenomenal social media platforms that you should have an optimized presence on and be actively engaged. First, Facebook. Chances are that you're already familiar with it. Facebook is a popular free social networking website that allows users to create profiles, upload photos and videos, and send messages to family and friends. Worldwide, there are over 2.4 billion monthly active users. 1.6 billion of Facebook users are considered daily active users. The most common age demographic ranges from 25 to 34, which is 29% of its users. This is the prime target demographic for many businesses' marketing efforts, and social media SEO can help you engage and be top of mind with this demographic. A good place to start to see where your personal brand or company brand is in terms of ranking on search engines is to simply do a search with your name or company name and see which page and position the Facebook page shows up. For example, the current company where I work at, Lucidchart, when I perform a simple search of Lucidchart on Google, it shows up on the 12th slot of the first page. Go ahead and do the same, and if you have to dig deep to find your Facebook page, then your page could benefit from social SEO. Instagram is a popular photo sharing app that appeals to all kinds of users, influencers, advertisers, and brands. Instagram has 1 billion monthly active users, and more than 500 million of them use the platform every single day. The platform has a good gender balance with 52% being female and 48% being male. By doing a simple search on Google for Lucidchart, you can see it shows up on the first page of the SERP and it takes the place on the 11th result. Even though there's room for improvement, it still ranks on the first page and is currently outranking any other Lucidchart Instagram account and or post. Go ahead and see where your personal company's Instagram shows up when you search for it on Google or Bing and record the result so you can go back and see the before and after by doing a little social SEO that I'll be showing you in the chapters up ahead. I consider YouTube as both a good social media SEO channel for B2B and B2C. If you plan, create, and launch a paid or organic YouTube strategy, depending on your audience, you can target audiences in the B2B, B2C, and or both sectors at the same time. A few impressive stats that you need to know about and keep in mind is that people from all over the world are watching a lot of YouTube. 1 billion hours, to be specific, of videos are watched daily. One impressive and good to know stat that you might not know of is that 81% of 15 to 25-year-olds in the US use YouTube. And since Google owns YouTube and 70% of what people watch on YouTube is determined by its recommendation algorithm, social media SEO on YouTube matters a lot more than what people think. When a person searches for Lucidchart on Google, it shows up on the first page of the SERP and ranks on the third result. Now keep in mind that this didn't happen overnight, and it's very rare and hard to make your personal or company's YouTube channel rank so high. But you could do it if you put a solid engagement strategy in place, execute on it consistently, and add some social SEO love along the way. If you're going to take one thing, take away this. You never know when a small feature is taken away or added, and it changes the social media SEO game for good or bad. So stay in the know by reading social media blogs, subscribing to social news, and follow relevant social thought leaders and practitioners in the space so you're the first to know of any future changes. One of my very first international speaking gigs solely presented itself to me simply because I had taken the time to strategically optimize my LinkedIn profile with the right keywords and digital assets. A business conference organizer got a hold of me after he Googled the term marketing advisor, and right in the first page of the search engine results page, also known as SERP, my LinkedIn profile showed up. He reached out and the rest was history. Social media account or profile optimization is a pillar that you need to understand before you even begin to think of creating and sharing posts on social media. The compounding effect from having an optimized social media account or presence can become a never-ending source of value both to your personal brand and your company's brand online. Even though all social media platforms are different, they all have this one thing in common. That common trait is individual accounts or social profiles. Even though this may seem obvious, think about social accounts and profiles in a totally different new way. Begin seeing your accounts and profiles as your digital worldwide billboard on the busiest freeway where hundreds or thousands and millions of cars drive by 24/7, 365. If you change your perspective to see it this way, your accounts or profiles are no longer what you thought of them, but they're essentially a website or a landing page where visitors can take action that you put right in front of them. And this is all made possible only if your social media accounts are optimized correctly. The most common pattern that I've identified and keep coming to is account completion. Account completion means you filled out all the sections of a profile 100% with relevant information. Here's actionable tips to make your personal or company's social media profile remarkable. First, the majority of social media platforms these days allow you to create a display name, which should be your first and last name. And second, they allow you to edit or customize the characters of your account's URL. For the ones that you care about and want to optimize, stick to your first name and last name with no spaces, if it hasn't been claimed yet. If it's taken, reverse it to last name, first name, but if that's also taken, try adding your middle name in between your first and last name. If I were to do a Google search for Gabe Villamizar, here's what my current LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube and Instagram custom account URL would look like online. As you make these small changes, always remember that consistency across social platforms is the name of the game. As I previously mentioned, tip number 2 is all about completing your profile 1000%. If you complete your account correctly, social media platforms will give you preference and rank your profile higher versus those that don't. For example, Twitter only has 7 sections or fields that you can fill out and optimize, such as name, bio, and location, to name a few. Instagram only has 5 sections. On the other hand, LinkedIn has 30 plus sections or fields that you need to complete even though they're not marked as required and are only optional. Third, add or edit relevant keywords in specific fields or sections of your social media account. The most common fields are your account headline, bio, and description. These accounts are usually located at the very top left of a page, which is a good thing since search engine crawlers usually crawl text and images from top to bottom, left to right, in order to index and make sense of the internet. As an example, the keywords that I try to optimize for and embed throughout my LinkedIn profile are as follows: marketing leader, LinkedIn learning, and B2B SaaS sales. Tip number 4 is all about visual consistency. The goal here is to deliver a consistent on-brand customer journey experience through the verbiage you use, but most important, the images and logos that you display and associate on your website and social media profiles. If I were managing the social media accounts for Lucidchart, I'd make sure that these are the only logos that are displayed and projected across all social media platforms that the company has a presence on. Fifth, have an on-brand visually consistent social media background across every social media platform that you have or want to have a presence on. The banner images for both my LinkedIn and Twitter profiles are visually identical, and the Lucidchart logo is located in the upper right-hand corner of the image. On these specific platforms, by having an image or logo in that area of the image will be both visible on mobile and desktop, so keep that in mind as you create and or edit yours. Last, the sixth account optimization tip is to link back to other relevant social media accounts that are active and that you have a presence on. On my Instagram account, I've linked the URL back to my Twitter profile. And on my Twitter profile, I link back to my LinkedIn URL with the custom bit.ly link, which is a free or paid URL shortener tool that gives you more customization options. I highly recommend you check them out at bit.ly.com. With that said, here's my last word of advice. As you begin to optimize your social accounts, be strategic, mindful, and patient. Please don't rush this process so you can get it right from the beginning. Anybody can create a social post or a short video on their smartphone and share it on social media. All that is required of you is your time, effort, and persistence. One of my mentors told me about a concept he called the good, better, best formula. When the difficulty level of a task is easy, a lot of people can do it and the reward is good. When the difficulty level of a task is hard, fewer people do it, but the reward can be much better. But when the difficulty level of a task is very hard, very few people tend to do it, and the reward is usually the best. If we apply the same concept to social SEO, it would go something like this. Sharing relevant and valuable content on social media can yield good results. Sharing relevant and valuable content on social media that's SEO friendly will bring you way better results. And sharing relevant and valuable content on social media that's SEO friendly consistently will provide you with the best results. In order to create and share the best social SEO posts effectively, first, identify an existing or brand new piece of content to work with. Once you've selected a piece of content, carefully read or watch the content and choose 5 keywords or phrases that are found in the verbiage or that are super closely related to what the content is about. Let's say I wanted to increase this article's discoverability, search rank, and visibility on both search engines and in social media platforms. After carefully reading the article, the 5 keywords I choose are LinkedIn Sales Navigator, digital sales, LinkedIn sales, and social selling. I chose those specific words or phrases because I have a good sense and idea of what my target audience persona or potential buyers could be searching for on Google, Bing, and in social media. If you don't know this, check out tools like Google Search Console, SEMrush, or Moz to name a few. Then, select 3 social media platforms where you know your audience engages with regularly. Keep in mind that the verbiage, hashtags, or images that you use on a LinkedIn post should be different than a tweet because each social platform displays, ranks, and structures content in a way different and unique way. The next step is to create 3 individual social posts that are strategically optimized to the social media channel where the post will be shared on. Optimized social posts should or can contain 2 to 3 keywords, a relevant image or video, and a clear call to action or CTA. Let me show you what each post would look like. Here's an example of what an optimized tweet will look like on Twitter. As you can see, I've added two of my research keywords, a customized link to the article, and uploaded and attached a native image to the tweet so it stands out and takes up more online real estate. I also tagged in the image and at mention in the copy at LinkedIn sales, since they're related to what my tweet is about. Last, I added a short description to the image in which I put how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator so the platform can better associate what the image and the tweet is about. And now, after doing all of this, my tweet is ready to go out to the world. The next channel I'd share on will be YouTube. YouTube's SEO features are extremely powerful since it's owned by Google, so it gets preferential treatment. As you look at my video's title, hashtags, and description, you can see that I've used a few of the 5 keywords that I previously selected, and I made sure to add a link back to the original source of truth, which is the article in this instance. Last, don't forget to also optimize the backend settings on each video that you upload before publishing it. Moving on to the next social channel, this is what my LinkedIn optimized post would look like. The post contains a few of my chosen keywords. I also mentioned LinkedIn right in the first sentence. I added a custom link and closed the post with 3 relevant hashtags and uploaded the same video that I did on YouTube, but natively so it can get more exposure. Remember that LinkedIn posts can have a max of 1,300 characters, and anything after the 140 character mark will get cut off with the see more hyperlink, so make the first sentence count. Now that I've created 3 social posts optimized for Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, I'm ready to tweet, upload, and post for the world to see. I really don't care what you've read or heard of before, but there's no universal secret or perfect formula for when is the best time or date to share on social media. It all really depends on the audience and the channel, so start testing out and see what works for you. Once you've created, shared, and consumed a fair enough of content on any given social platform, you may have the questions like the ones you see on this slide, which ultimately lead to how can I increase the reach of my social media posts? And even though I can't give you the best answer to those questions that pertain specifically to you, I can show you what's worked for me, what my thought process was like, and how I would go about it if I was starting out in 2020. Without further ado, here are 3 specific tactics that you should try if you want to 10x your social engagement and reach. Some of these tactics are responsible for helping me achieve over 1 million views across all my social posts combined in 2019. And if I was able to do it, so can you. Here's what I did. You need to first grasp a social engagement strategy that covers social activities or touches on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Let's take a deep dive as to what your social cadence could look like for LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Starting on LinkedIn on a daily basis, you'd want to connect with 5 new users and like 3 different LinkedIn posts. Make sure that you're only connecting with relevant individuals from your industry and always personalizing your LinkedIn connection request by doing your homework on who they are, what they care about, and what can get their attention. On a weekly basis, you leave 4 comments and share 1 LinkedIn post. And if posting once a week totally terrifies you to begin with, you can do it every other week. And last, on a monthly basis, you'd write 1 LinkedIn article. In regards to sending LinkedIn connection requests, here's the template that I have had the most success with. It follows the similar format. Hey, Sally or Joe, your ... Insert personalization that's relevant to their business, or industry. Hope we can connect and keep in touch. Have a great week. And you insert your first name and company name. On Instagram, on a daily basis, you want to leave 3 relevant comments or replies, share 2 stories, and share 1 post. Now, when I say relevant, I mean a post that adds value by either educating, entertaining, or both. That's usually the pattern that the best Instagram posts seem to follow. On a weekly basis, you'd follow 20 new users, and on a monthly basis, create one Instagram TV or IGTV video post. When posting on Instagram on a daily or every other day basis, you want to mix it up by trying different types of Instagram posts. You can try single image, multiple slideshow images, native video, boomerang video GIF, and many others. Play around with the app, get familiar, and don't be scared to try new and creative ways to get people's attention as they scroll through the feed. On Twitter, daily engagement recommendations would look like this. Follow 10 new relevant Twitter users, share one tweet, and retweet somebody else's tweet. On a weekly basis, reply to 5 different tweets from users that you've either recently followed or that are relevant to your industry. And last, on a monthly basis, in a strategic manner, add 20 Twitter users into a public Twitter list that you've created. If you're not too familiar with Twitter lists, it's a Twitter feature that allows you to create a list-curated group of individuals of Twitter accounts. When you create a public list, anybody can subscribe to that list, and if they do so, they will be able to view a timeline or stream of tweets only from the accounts on that list. Whether you choose to execute on the social engagement tactics that we just reviewed, or simply come up with your own individual engagement plan, here's what Steve Jobs once said: "Quality is more important than quantity. One home run is much better than 2 doubles." Once you have a dynamic social engagement strategy in place, you'll want to use, find, or create your own social media scheduling spreadsheet to keep track of what you or your team will be sharing on which channel and on what date and time. I specifically liked and recommend this social calendar template that Lindsay Kolowich from HubSpot created and shared on their company blog. Now, if you're not that into spreadsheets or have a love-hate relationship with them, you can also check out social scheduling tools like Buffer App or Hootsuite, which will give you simple and advanced features to schedule, measure, and keep track of all your social posts. Third and last social engagement and reach tip is to measure and analyze each of your social media posts in one way, shape, or form. By having data readily available at your fingertips, you'll be able to capitalize and double down on specific types of posts that you can see are working versus just going off pure instinct. So remember, if you don't have a strategic social engagement plan in place, you'll be running around in circles and will simply be doing what I like to call random acts of social media, which will get you nowhere and you'll end up wasting your time on social media. So create your own and make the best of your unique content. A few years ago, I was in charge of finding a high-profile speaker for Lucidchart's brand new webinar series. The ideal speaker needed to be somewhat of a well-known author, speaker, and or influencer in the space that was related to the topic that we wanted to talk about in the webinar. I accepted the challenge, and with this task at hand, I turned to the 2 social platforms from where I knew I could have the best chances of finding and securing a speaker: Twitter and LinkedIn. A month went by, and to my team's surprise, I was able to secure a well-known thought leader in the data visualization space, Scott Baronato, whom is an author and senior editor at the Harvard Business Review. Long story short, he came on as our special webinar guest, the content was excellent, and this webinar became one of our highest rated online events we've held to date. So how was I able to quickly connect and engage with Scott via social media, even though I didn't know him or had ever spoken to him before? Let me show you a few tips on how you can identify and engage with targeted users via social media. Before we get started, I want to bring something up that's extremely important because this is overlooked quite a bit whenever I coach what I'm about to teach you. There are 3 specific do nots that you need to keep in mind before we move forward. The first one is, do not pitch your product or service right away on the first few initial interactions with users. Second, do not bombard or annoy users with endless questions in your public or private message conversations. And third, do not send spammy DMs or private messages that will waste both your time and theirs. Now that we've covered these basics, let's move forward. Step 1 is all about identifying relevant target users. I highly recommend focusing on only 2 channels at a time and selecting anywhere from 5 to 8 target individuals. These individuals need to be selected in a strategic manner because they will be the ones that you'll want to trade links with. Or maybe you'd like for them to feature your product or service on their blog. Or you're simply trying to schedule a meeting with them. One of the best ways to identify your target individuals is by doing a search for relevant content that could be in the user's social profile or in the content they are sharing about that's related to your field, industry, or theme. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say that I'm searching for somebody that has a lot of influence in the education industry. On Twitter, I'd go to Twitter's advanced search section and perform the following Boolean search with the keywords such as education or hashtag education. From here, I'd scroll down and carefully examine the timeline to see who is sharing relevant content and getting lots of engagement. On LinkedIn, you have a little more flexibility because you have way more search capabilities and functionalities, allowing you to narrow your search by location, job title, keywords, and much more. Once I have searched for a specific set of keywords, such as education, I then select the filter by results, content, sort by relevance, and then I scroll down through the timeline to see what content's getting the most engagement and who is sharing it. The second step involves what I like to call the social surround effect, which means to surround your target users so they become familiar with you, who you are, and what your content is about. When done correctly, when you ask them for something, you're no longer much of a stranger simply because they're familiar with you, your content, and hopefully what your company's brand or product is all about because you indirectly or directly surrounded them for a few days or weeks in a non-creepy manner. Here's an example of a social surround sequence that I've tested and used in real life when I wanted to schedule sales or marketing meetings with Fortune 5000 executives. In this 9-day social outreach sequence displayed here, social touches happen every other day during weekdays. Towards the end of the sequence on day 9, that's when I go for the ask. The reason this works is because most individuals are just focusing on cold emailing or cold calling when doing any specific outreach effort, when in reality, they'll have much better luck if they embed social touches with their traditional sales process. As you begin crafting and embedding social touches to your traditional outreach efforts, none of this will work unless you're in some way adding value and being relevant. If you were to take these two foundational principles away, your chances of getting somebody's attention is gone out the window. When it's all said and done, marketing thought leader and legend Jay Baer said it best. Focus on how to be social, not how to do social. Social media is here not only to blast and promote your messages to the world 24/7, but it's here so you can actually be social and build relationships of trust with people from all over the world like never before.